All right, so Donald Trump at 39% approval rating. Some have seen as low as 36. He's all over the map. Healthcare has now officially failed. Now he wants to go back to the way it was. What is going on in Washington?
Well, I think that Donald Trump is getting the biggest wake-up call of them all. I mean, he's gotten them, I think, every step along the way, and I think he's tried to, avoid accepting that the game that has to be played here, and that sometimes this whole inside the Beltway politics and establishment or whatever crazy word you want to throw on it is necessary to make the sausage in this town, and he's I think going to realize very quickly that he has to engage, and he has to engage in a way that is different than how he's engaged to this point, and he has to find a way to be a solution-focused president. And he can't just defer it to Congress and displace the blame to them. I mean, he has to take some responsibility and engage. But I think as it relates to these approval ratings, as we know, he's his own worst enemy. Anytime that you're being as defensive as he is and as sensitive as he is, all you're doing is breathing life into some of the negativity that does not need any more breath or life. Otherwise, it's just going to be made worse for you. So I think the opportunity and the upside is there for him. Certainly the issues and the policies are there for him. Certainly the Republicans have those opportunities, and Democrats do not right now. I think the country's ready for Republican policies, but he's just, like I said, he just steps on himself and gets in the way of that.
I read somewhere, and I forget who said it or wrote it, but they said that Trump is not bending to the will of Washington, and Washington is not bending to the will of Trump. And so there's two different ways of doing things. There's two different worlds, and they're colliding in Washington, D.C.
Well, I mean, it's true. Listen, you know, the Trump supporters, and Trump can say all he wants about, we need to change the way Washington is, and trust me, I, as someone who's been here now the last 25 years and worked in this cesspool, I can tell you that obviously if you look back in the 90s when Bob Dole and George Mitchell, they fought each other in the Senate, but they cared about each other, they liked each other, respected each other, they'd go out and have a beer with one another. Bill Clinton, you could argue as much as, even if you don't like Democrat politics, one of the most successful presidents we've recently had, for the reason that he, in 1996, after he won re-election, he called Gingrich and all the Republicans, conservatives, down to the White House and said, okay, boys, I just got reelected. This is my swan song. What do we have to do to get a balanced budget passed? What do we have to do to get welfare reform passed? And they did it. So in terms of getting things accomplished and done, I mean, he acknowledged how to do it. I would say things have been made more difficult after the Clinton impeachment trial, after the Bush v. Gore recount. There's more hatred and animosity in this town now, which certainly makes things challenging. But if you can be a solution-focused president and have that credibility when you are sending your people up to the Hill and they know that you want to try to find a solution, which is not the case now, I think it can go a long way. So as I said, I think there's upside.
What makes people's hair hurt, if I can say that, is this meeting with Trump Jr. and Manafort and Kushner and everybody. And then when Donald Trump is asked about it, he says, everybody would have done it. It's just politics. That's what makes people's hair hurt, because he can't even acknowledge, like Donald Trump Jr. did, that maybe I should have, if I had to do it again, I would do it differently, right? He refuses to give an inch, and that's what makes people's hair hurt.
Yeah, and I would say to those that voted for him, all of those around the country that want this tough guy bravado in the White House, that they like it, that, guys, that's fine, but there needs to be a balance hit. He is the President of the United States, and if you want to have your guy reelected, if you want his approval ratings to be higher, if you want him to have more credibility to get things done in Washington, then he needs to tone that stuff down. I mean, he's not the candidate anymore. To be up there every time talking about how taking on the media or taking on looking for a fight on a daily basis as opposed to being the leader of the free world, it defies logic. I mean, certainly defies tradition, and I know there's a lot of people that say, well, the heck with tradition because it hasn't worked. Well, you can't, no one can point to the fact that a president being presidential is the reason things have not worked over the years. I mean, that's not the reason why Congress has been ineffective. So to your point, yes, it doesn't take much for him to just to have more popularity across the aisle, to have more popularity as president. People want to respect their president. People want to like their president. You and I both know that. I mean, after someone gets elected, people are like, okay, we this is a president of our country. We want to be patriotic. We want to like him. And he doesn't give people a reason to do that.
That's a good point. Trey Harden, ABC News political analyst. You did a good job considering. Have yourself a good week. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.